Birds have always been overrated. There aren't a lot of studies about the fact that most birds can't fly higher than the altitude of 60 meters. So, what does this mean for us? It means that almost all birds are overrated. The next time someone tells you that a bird is faster or immune to cold, pay close attention to footnotes and other sources so that you can find out how often they actually say these things. How high can birds fly? The question of how high birds can fly is one that has been debated for centuries. Some have argued that the maximum altitude a bird can reach is around 10,000 meters or 33,000 feet. Others believe that the height is limited only by the size of their wingspan. Some birds have been recorded to fly up to 18,000 meters or 60,000 feet in length and weight. But these are rare cases, and most birds are unable to fly at such heights. Humans have always been fascinated with flight, and this fascination has led us to study how high birds can fly. The answer depends on various factors like wingspan, weight and other physical attributes of the bird, but there is no clear-cut answer as to what the maximum altitude a bird can reach is. In short, it's impossible for us mortals to know what it would take for a bird to hit the clouds. Birds are able to fly up to heights of about 10,000 feet. As birds have evolved over time, their wings have become more powerful and efficient. This allows them to fly higher and farther than before. Birds are able to take off from the ground by using their wings for propulsion and lift. They use a flap-glide-flap cycle in order to stay airborne. In the process, they use gravity as well as the wind currents around them for lift. Why do birds fly so high? Birds fly high because they have to. They are lighter than air. This is due to the fact that their wings are covered in feathers that are densely packed. These feathers can trap a lot of air, which makes them very light and buoyant. Birds are not designed to fly, but they need to do it in order for them to survive. They use the shape of their wings and the shape of their body to create lift and momentum, which allows them to take off from the ground with ease. How do birds fly so high? Many people have wondered how birds are able to fly so high. Scientists have found out that the answer is that they flap their wings in a very specific way. This is called dynamic soaring. Wing-assisted incline running. Scientists believe that this technique allows them to generate enough lift force to stay in the air. They can also use it while on the ground and still be able to move forward. Birds are able to fly high because of their aerodynamic shape and wings that are full of feathers. The feathers in the wings act like a wing-shaped parachute and help them to stay airborne. Birds need to be able to take off from the ground, which is not easy for them. They have to use their wings, tail, and feet for liftoff, but also have to use their bodies as a propeller that creates thrust. How do birds usually fly? Birds are usually seen flying in the air, but how do they actually fly? In order to answer this question, we need to know what birds are made of. Birds are made of mostly water with a small amount of fat and protein. This is why they can fly so easily. They use their wings as an aerodynamic surface which pushes them up and lets them glide through the air. Birds typically fly in V-shaped patterns. These patterns are called V formations because they look like the letter V. Where do they get the energy to live up in the air? The birds are able to fly because of the flapping of their wings. This is a basic principle of aerodynamics. Birds have evolved to be able to take flight by using the air as fuel. They also have a high metabolism rate, and they use it up quickly while flying. However, they can also stay aloft for days or weeks at a time, so they must have another source of energy that keeps them going. The birds fly in the air because they have a special organ called the erythrocyte, which is a type of cell that contains hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, in turn, is an iron-containing protein that carries oxygen in the blood. Birds have red blood cells with hemoglobin to carry oxygen around their bodies. They also have lungs, which are filled with air and act like tiny bellows to help them breathe. What happens when birds go up too high? Birds are known for their ability to fly. They have a wingspan that is about 3 times their height. They can fly at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour and reach altitudes of 5,000 feet. But what happens when birds go up too high? When a bird goes up too high, it usually loses its ability to fly and falls from the sky. It's either because they flew too fast or they were trying to escape from an enemy or predator. The most common cause of birds going up too high is when they are trying to escape from predators like hawks and falcons that might be hunting them. Can birds fly higher than usable airspace? The answer is yes, but only if they have a very strong tailwind and are flying in a straight line. This question is not about whether birds can fly higher than the air that we can breathe. It is about whether birds are able to fly higher than the altitude of usable airspace. Whether or not birds are able to fly higher than the altitude of usable airspace is a question that has been debated by different people for a long time. It is hard to imagine how a bird could fly higher than usable airspace. However, it is possible for birds to fly as high as 10,000 feet. This section explores the question of whether or not birds can fly higher than the air traffic control system, which is around 10,000 feet. What is a bird's flight range? The most common type of birds are migratory birds, who spend their lives traveling from place to place. When they are migrating, they will fly long distances to find food and water in the form of rain or snow. A bird's flight range varies depending on its size and weight. The larger and heavier it is, the further it can travel without stopping for fuel. Birds have a wide range of flight ranges. They can fly up to 1,000 miles per day, and they can travel as high as 10,000 feet. Birds can fly up to 10,000 feet in the air. The highest altitude birds typically live at is around 10,000 feet above sea level. Birds also have a wide range of flight ranges, with some species having a flight range of up to 1,000 miles per day, which is about the same distance as New York City to Los Angeles. Types of birds. How do the heights of different types of birds differ from one another? There are many different types of birds. Some are small and some are large. Some fly in the sky while others live on the ground. They have different habitats, and they can be found in different parts of the world too. The heights of these birds differ from one another due to their size, habitat, and how they fly. The height difference is also due to the type of bird as well as their location in the world. There are two main types of birds, those that live in the sky, and those that live on land or water. Birds are one of the most diverse groups of animals on Earth, and they outnumber almost every other type of animal. There are two main types, those that live in the sky and those that live on land or water. How birds use aerodynamics to get higher than you think they could. Aerodynamics is the study of the motion of air around solid objects. Birds have been using aerodynamics to get higher than you think they could. Birds have been using aerodynamics to get higher than you think they could. They use their wings, feathers, and bodies to create a low-pressure area that pushes up against the air as they fly by. This creates lift and allows them to float on air currents, which makes it easier for them to stay in the air longer and fly faster than you would expect. Aerodynamics is the study of how air interacts with moving objects, and it can be used to explain why birds can fly. It is a branch of fluid dynamics which studies the motion of fluids like air or water around solid objects. A bird's wing has many curved surfaces that create vortices in the surrounding air as they flap their wings. The vortices lift the wing up, which creates lift force that allows them to fly. Conclusion for how high can birds fly? Birds can fly as high as they want. However, the height depends on their size and weight.